Okay, so hi, I am AJ. I'm one of the You Matter bloggers for this time. And this week I wanted to talk about how to deal with your counselor suddenly leaving you. And I guess the first thing I want to say is that he or she is not leaving you, they're just leaving. And that's okay. I think that's like the hardest part to deal with, at least it was for me. So a couple of weeks ago I got a new job and I called to reschedule my counseling appointment to fit with my new work schedule. And when I called, I was told that my counselor was gone. And I had no warning, I had no oh, there's a cat. I had no warning, I had no idea. It was like a Friday afternoon and I'm at work at this new job that I've only had for a week. And I just had to put it aside until I came home, basically. And it sucked a lot. I was really angry. I had been seeing this counselor for 3 years, so it's a pretty long time. And honestly, the only way I know how to describe it is I felt like I got dumped. And I think that's a pretty accurate description because it's kind of like losing a friend in a way. So it's kind of the same. And yeah, I don't know, it was just like a really weird, bad experience. I didn't handle it very well at first. I was just angry at everyone, and it was everybody's fault. And I really wanted to talk to my counselor and just like tell him how pissed I was at him. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized like he probably felt horrible leaving his patients and he had a good reason to do it, and you know, whatever. There was good reason behind it. His intention wasn't to hurt anybody. So yeah, I mean, that took time to figure out, took time for me to kind of get through on my own, and talking to my partner, and just kind of talking to myself about it, figuring out why I was so upset that he just walked away from me. And ultimately I discovered that I felt like my counselor had left me and he hadn't. He had just left the clinic that I happened to see him at, and that just meant that I couldn't go to him anymore. And you know, it was just time to move on, and that was just kind of my sign that it was time to move on. And whether that meant finding a new counselor or not seeing a counselor or whatever the case may be, it was just time for that to happen. And so for me, it meant finding a new counselor at the same facility, which is a little bit weird, just because I know everybody there, and now I'm seeing a new person who knows nothing about me. So I don't know, it's just kind of odd. And the counselor that Chris, my counselor, recommended to replace him is female, which is something I said I would never do, just because I've never really had that connection with female counselors in that way. So I was really nervous to go, but I've gone and I've seen her once, and it wasn't the worst experience of my life, but it was really awkward, to be honest. And you know, the more I think about it and talk about it, the more I realize like that's okay. And it might be awkward for a while. It was awkward when I saw Chris at first too, so I'm trying really hard not to overthink it, but yeah, so that's just kind of my experience with losing a counselor, and kind of how I dealt with it and how I maybe should have dealt with it. Yeah, I really hope you don't experience losing your counselor suddenly, because it sucks, I'm not gonna lie, but it's also not the end of the world, and you'll get through it. You'll find a new counselor, you'll find a new way of coping, you'll, you know, whatever it is that you see your counselor for, you'll find a new way of dealing with those things. So don't worry, It'll all be okay. And yeah, I'm also gonna write up a little paragraph or two outlining just a couple of resources specifically online that you can use to help you find a new counselor, or talk to somebody in the meantime, or whatever I find, basically. So yeah, thanks for watching.